Crypto investors, I believe it is best to do nothing right now until something very specific happens. And in today's video, I've made it my goal to tell you exactly why I believe it's best to do nothing and what that specific particular thing is that you need to be on the lookout for in order to start making some moves again. Now, I'm not going to lie, I woke up feeling extremely sick this morning, but the show must go on. So bear with me a bit. But let's get into it. Now, guys, I will let you know if you do want some extra content from me, you can go follow me over on Instagram. My Instagram is TylerHillYT_, and it is linked down below. And you can get some behind the scenes content from me. You can get some extra Q&As, extra videos, and some extra analysis all over on Instagram. Feel free to follow me. We're trying to get to 1,000 followers, so shout out to you guys. But overall, let's dive over onto the crypto charts because this is where all the magic is happening. Now, as a quick recap, in order for you to truly understand what we're going to be talking about today, what we of course know is that for a while, we were tracking the fact that Bitcoin's price was in this ascending structure. And I told you all, as we were pushing towards the top side of the structure, I said, listen, things are getting extremely risky, and Bitcoin has an over 90% chance of breaking to the downside. So as a result, we did a bunch of selling as Bitcoin hit the top side of that channel, as seen by all of our sell bubbles there. So what do you know? Bitcoin's price then does fall outside of this descending channel. And as we did lose it, I told you all, listen, now that Bitcoin has fallen below that ascending structure, a couple things are going to happen very soon. There are these things below us called bounce zones. And these are the zones that we are the most likely to see Bitcoin's price try to bounce back towards the upside off of. These are support levels. But as Bitcoin tries to use these bounce zones, there's going to be some very, very, very strong resistance zones above us, especially the one called the golden zone. So what's going to happen now that we've fallen below this ascending structure is Bitcoin's going to go to war between support levels and resistance levels to try to see where it goes from here, to try to give us some clarity. And now that we've officially bounced off of this support and bounced off of this resistance, we now have that clarity. It is very clear to me what Bitcoin is doing. And now that I can see what it's doing, I think it's best to literally just pause right now because what it's doing is sketchy. Okay. Now, what do I mean by sketchy? I know what you may be thinking I mean by sketchy is that I think Bitcoin's about to absolutely nuke, right? Or it's about to absolutely fall back to 50K or 100. No. It's not that. It's more that there's going to be some massive, massive battles happening that are going to be smacking Bitcoin's price all over the place. I mean, you can imagine Bitcoin just being a ping pong ball. And that's it. Bing, bing, bing. I mean, just back and forth all over the place, getting absolutely obliterated. Because what Bitcoin is doing is it's creating a consolidationary channel. Consolidationary channels are some of the most spooky things that crypto can do because, to be honest, they just don't have any rhyme or reason sometimes. They just do stuff. They'll just go up and then down and then up and then down, and then there'll be a fake out and then a liquidity hunt, then a fake breakout, or, which is a fake out, but obviously it lasts a little bit longer. Like, there's so much random stuff that happens when we're in these consolidationary channels, and it just obliterates people, especially leverage traders. I think that there's an extremely high likelihood that anyone trading on high leverage right now is going to get smashed if they don't have a proper plan in place. And if you go look at CoinGlass on the 30-day charts, I mean, you can see it already starting. You can see $14 billion worth of liquidations ready to be smashed to the upside here, while there's still $9.5 billion to the downside. There is so much liquidation that can happen with Bitcoin making small moves in either direction, and I believe it's gonna make those moves. And if you just go look at liquidation history, and if we really just zoom into what's happened over the last couple weeks, you can see like it's been happening, right? Look at all the liquidations that have been occurring, and that is because of this sideways consolidationary channel. Another word that I like to use for the sideways consolidationary channel, or name, in other words, is our good old friend HMZ, or a high manipulation zone. Shout out to Mr. Nibbles. And the reason why I call these high manipulation zones is because these are the levels where you are going to see the most manipulation happen. You're going to see the market just dump out of nowhere, pump out of nowhere, and dump out of nowhere under the disguise that it's just in a channel. But the truth is, these are coordinated attacks from market makers and from centralized exchanges on retail investors in order to try to liquidate as many retail investors as humanly possible to funnel the funds from retail into institutional pockets and into lizard pockets, right? And so knowing now that we are officially in another HMZ, I think it's best to do nothing. But I would say more often than not, when we see HMZ start, I do the least amount of buying, the least amount of selling, the least amount of trading, basically that I'll ever do. I do less in this than I do anywhere else because it's just, there's no way to try to predict what happens here. Yes, historically speaking, based off of historical data, Bitcoin does have a higher chance of breaking to the upside out of this channel than it does to the downside, solely solely because it is in a macro uptrend going into a consolidationary channel, which again can be painted as a continuation pattern. But there have been many times, especially throughout recent crypto history, that Bitcoin has lost these exact structures and fallen back to the downside. There is no true way of knowing what's going to happen here. And so by trying to make big buys or big sales or big trades, all you're doing is guessing. I don't like guessing. That's not how I trade. That's not how I invest. I've not been able to remain profitable over 7 years in crypto by guessing. It is by strategic, precise movements. And so I'm under the belief that right now, in this exact moment, the best thing to do is a whole lot of nothing. Now, I will make one exception. I think it's okay. I think it's okay if you want to do dollar cost averages on Bitcoin below the 50 to 40% mark of this structure. Meaning, if you take, of course, the top to the middle and then the middle to the bottom, I would say if you put this at like, say, 60% of the top and this is 40%, I think doing dollar cost averages in this 40% box is okay. I wouldn't be doing gigantic dollar cost averages, right? But I do think doing some dollar cost averages in here is okay. And the reason why I say that is because, listen, there is a decent chance that Bitcoin will try to use these support levels, this bounce zone 1, to continue higher. It's of course true that bounce zone 1 is not nearly the strongest bounce zone, and 2 and 3 are much stronger. So at any given point, it might just come back down to those ones. But there is a chance that it does, hold here. And if you're the type of person whose strategy says that you should dollar cost average on key zones of support, dollar cost averaging anywhere in this bounce zone, let's say between $103 and $100,000, isn't the worst idea on earth. Even I might do some of that. It just depends on how the market plays out. But none of the dollar cost averaging that I do in here will be big. None of the sales that I do in here will be big. I literally won't do anything big whatsoever. The most that I may do is dollar cost average small whenever we're at the bottom side and take small profits when we're at the top side. And I am simply just going to wait until we break this structure. And remember I told you don't do anything until this happens, that this happening is breaking this structure. We need to see Bitcoin's price being able to break out and stay above a clear, confirmed, true breakout. Not something like we saw right here, not this little BS that we saw last year. No, a real breakout. That is the only point in time in which I would be comfortable making any large purchases or any large sales or any large trades for the time being. And so for the indefinite future, indefinitely, I am just pausing. I might do some small DCAs towards the bottom. I might do some small take profits towards the top, but I will not be doing anything gigantic while we're in this HMZ because we saw last year what happens when we're in these. The good part is I don't particularly think that this will last forever. I think that there is a decent sized chance that we do break out of this towards the middle of the middle of the summer, like somewhere around July, like this little July at threshold wouldn't surprise me. Guys, maybe even sooner. Maybe, the US just invades Iran, right? And maybe things just absolutely capsize and we go straight down. Or maybe something happens and we work out the best deal ever and me and, US and China are buddy-buddy and then we just go straight up, right? I don't particularly see either one of those things happening, but it is possible, right? So maybe we break out of it sooner. But if it is going to play the natural course, and usually will take a little bit more time than this in order for this breakout to happen. I think we had our chance. This was our opportunity right here. This was our chance for the breakout. And the fact that the bulls were unable to conquer this zone, they were unable to conquer that golden zone. This is what forced us into this HMZ. This move canceled the pump that we were possibly going to see up towards 115. And now we have to adjust. Now we have to adapt and we have to just be okay with it. And let's say Bitcoin's price does come back to bounce zone 2 or bounce zone 3, say it does break towards the bottom side of this. Guys, I'm just going to do the same thing that I did back here. I told you all whenever we were in this HMZ right here, I said, listen, there's a chance that one day Bitcoin breaks to the bottom side of this. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to be buying. And that's what I'm going to still be doing here because look how that played out for us. We did a bunch of buying on Bitcoin when it broke that HMZ last time. Look at all this big buying that we did here. And it opened us up to be able to take a ton of profits off the table when Bitcoin pumped. So yes, there is a chance that Bitcoin's price does break down, but guess what? I'm just going to be doing some buying because I am still under the belief that there's a very, very fair chance that Bitcoin's price is going to be able to recover, even if it falls down to say 96K or 86K, to be able to push up towards all-time highs. I think as we continue to see liquidity enter into the market, I think as we continue to see the economy shift in somewhat of a better direction in terms of interest rates and quantitative easing, it is going to open up the door for opportunity for Bitcoin's price to be able to pump. I think crypto assets will perform decently when that time comes. And so Bitcoin's price breaking down into these bounce zones doesn't scare me. It's just something that I need to be prepared for mentally because it may feel a little bit bad, okay? So all in all, what I'm going to be doing right now is really just pausing. Nothing big, nothing, no big purchases, no big sales, no big trades. None of that. I am simply just going to be doing possibly small DCAs to the bottom side, small take profits to the top side, and letting this structure play out as it needs to in order for me to then determine when I am going to start going in on maybe some long trades or some short trades or some big DCAs or some big take profits. Okay. So I will keep you updated every single day that I possibly can as this all does play out. But all that I ask from you is to go to your Bitcoin chart, draw on your support, draw on your resistance, draw on your golden zone from 109 to 107, your bounce zone 1 from 102 to 100, bounce zone 2 or bounce zone 1, bounce zone 2 from 97 to 93, and bounce zone 3 from 88 to 86. And watch these bad boys closely, because whatever happens here is going to determine what happens in the crypto market. Because remember, we are still in Bitcoin season. Although we are moving and shifting in a direction in which altcoins could start to perform well sometime soon, especially with what we're seeing here, we are still in Bitcoin season and it needs to be respected. Okay. So with that in mind, there's that. Don't forget, if you do want to ask me questions, if you want behind the scenes content, if you do want just extra content from me, you can go follow me over on Instagram at TylerHillYT_. And if you do want to get ready to trade when the time comes, although I'm not trading a ton right now, but if you want to get ready to trade when the time comes, you can go get up to $10,000 over on BTCC and enjoy up to 40% lower trading fees. So when the time comes and you're ready to trade, this is a great platform to start in, and that will be available for you down in the description below. But overall, guys, I am going to go take a little bit of a nap. Your boy's not feeling super good, but I just had to get this video out for you because it has now been confirmed. We're back in another HMZ, and well, I guess we just got to play the game like we do. But good thing is, look, last time we were in a position just like this, many of us were able to be buying Bitcoin at 80,000, 75,000, 90,000, ride those profits up back up to 109,000, take a bunch of profits. Now we're sitting on cash, and there's no reason why we can't try to do the same thing again. So the last time this happened, many of us made a profit. I think that we'll still be able to do it this time. So although it might not feel great, we got to do what we got to do. So, of course, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.